Hey, Jim at Tech Love, and how are you doing today? Been a while since I did a video, but I'm going to do another one here. That's my setup on the bench. So this is one that I'm building, and it is a Ryzen 5 3600 on a MSI B450 Gaming Pro Carbon Wi-Fi, AMD Prism cooler, GTX 1080 Ti, 16 gig of RAM. So I'm going to show you the RAM timings because I've tuned the RAM. I do have XMP enabled, but then I've tuned beyond XMP. CPU is not overclocked. Will I overclock it? Maybe I will. I'm not sure yet, but let me show you the timings and go through that. And I'll just take you for a little ride here. So this is what it looks like. And I'll show you some other stuff with this board too. As you can see, maybe you can see, there's only one cable coming out of the Prism cooler. Normally there's two. One goes to the JRGB connector. That's the 4-pin connector right down here. Sorry. Is that it? Yeah. Sorry. Well, right down there. So the 4-pin connector, that's the JRGB connector as opposed to ARGB, which is the 4-pin with one missing, like this one over here. That one right there. That's a 4-pin. I don't know if you can see it that well, but a 4-pin with one missing. So sometimes you can't get these coolers to operate properly, the RGB. So what you do is remove that JRGB cable. I'm using the Cooler Master software on this. It gives you the most options with this cooler to control the different RGB. So that's the fix for it, is you just remove that second cable that goes to the JRGB. And I don't know why it solves the problem, but it does completely solve the problem. So let's put you up here, and I'll adjust this screen a bit so that we can see the whole monitor. Get things out of the way. Try and lift this up a bit. There we go. All right. I was just running Firestrike because I was using MSI Afterburner to not really overclocking the graphics card at this point, but setting up the fans on it so the fans are not running stock. And I'll just run this again and show you the 1080 Ti. I'm pretty sure this is 11 gig card. I just really started this build, so I haven't checked everything out yet. Fans are a little bit noisy. If you hear a big fan come on, yeah, that's the furnace, because we're in the dungeon, so it is what it is. Slow. Normally it doesn't take that long. There we go. So I'll just let this run through. That's what, 5 minutes or something that it takes to run Firestrike. Right now I'm hooked up to 4 monitors because I was tuning the RAM, so I hook up to multiple monitors when I'm doing that. If you hear the sound go out, Every once in a while, it's this monitor, this small monitor in front of me. The closest one to me, it just cuts out in this benchmark. I don't know why the sound cuts out. So does the monitor for that matter. I don't know why. It does it on every computer. As you can hear, maybe. It's a real pain when it cuts out all the time. Thank God that's the end of the sound anyway. It's almost May here in Manitoba, and it's still cold. We had a snowstorm 2 days ago, or dumped a foot of snow. So yeah, it's just starting to warm up. Not very warm though. It's a late spring. You can see the FPS down in the bottom there. It's pretty smooth. I like the 1080 Ti. I like the 980. You don't have to. You don't have to have the latest and greatest of 4070 or 4090. To have decent gameplay. I built with 3060s, 3070s, 3090s, 3080 Ti's, 1080 Ti's, 980 Ti's, depending on what people want to spend. But I don't know. I don't see a huge difference. Some of them, yes, I see a huge difference, but I mean, I'm not a gamer, so I build gaming machines, but I'm not a gamer. But I do know how to tune them. $23,583, so that's not bad. Kind of in the middle. All right, so we're going to go into the BIOS here. We're just going to close this out. I think this is the screen that it'll show up on. So we're going to restart, and then we're going to start to mash the delete key in order to enter the BIOS. And that's where I tune memory. So I'm going to show you the timings that are set now. It's a nice motherboard. I flashed the BIOS like 5 times before it took. Very frustrating, but once it's up and running, then it's fine. Okay, so this is the MSI BIOS for this. And we don't want to go into the, I'll just show you my AMD, my overclocking settings if I have anything in here. Oh yeah, so I've got precision boost overdrive on advanced, 125 watts for my PPT limit, amps 125, 125. And I check that by going using the hardware monitor when I'm running 100% load. Yeah, precision boost overdrive scaler. I have no idea what this does. It doesn't matter what you change it to, it's still the same thing. And then your max boost clock override. So I've put that to 200 megahertz. And my platform thermal throttle limit at 95 degrees Celsius. So I'll press escape to get out of there. This is all related to memory SoC voltage at 1.1 volt. VDTP at 1.050. Whoops. And VDDG at 1 volt. We can change that in there, or we can just change it in the overclock. So overclocking mode, you have regular and expert. I'm set on expert mode. Just have the CPU ratio set at auto. Game boost disabled. I should change this to 100. Normally I do change it. I put it in manual set. So that's our front side bus, or our base clock of 100, which is what it's set at. I have XMP enabled. This is the frequency of the RAM, is DDR4 3200, so I haven't changed that. So when you're in there, some of the settings you want to change, because they're just going to be on auto, is the FCLK. You're going to make that half of what 3200 is, 1600. And your uClock mode is going to be uClock is equal to memclock. That's what you want to set that as. If you want to play around, you can enable memory try it, but you need to disable it afterwards. Memory try it, you can try all kinds of different clock settings. And of course, my memory failure retry is, I have it enabled. Works on a lot of boards, doesn't work on some boards, doesn't work on this one. So if I set some bad memory timings, I have to clear the CMOS. We'll go to our digital power, see what I have. I have them set at mode 3. I'm running stock voltage. I will change that. What is the voltage? Yeah, 1.43 on the core. So there's our the Northbridge SoC voltage, 1.125. I think I have that set differently. In the other ones, I have it set at 1.1, I think, the SoC voltage. So I'll have to go and change that. VDTP and VDDG, same setting. Our DRAM voltage, I'm running 1.45 volts for this RAM, and that was just to do my timings. I will try and lower that down, but there's nothing wrong with 1.45. It's quite fine. And advanced DRAM configuration may be different on some other boards, but this is where your timings are. So I set all manual timings. I leave it at stock when I first start, and then I set all manual timings. So these timings are the XMP 16, 18, 18, 18, 36. Actually, this would have been 38 here, and I lowered it to 36. I think the TRC was set about 70 or something, and I just lower this down. And I'll show you the program I use to at least give me an idea of where to start. This was at, the TRFC was at 670, 650. So I lowered it to 560. I'll probably go down a little more on that. RRDS, RRDL, and TFA, they kind of all go together. So tight timings would be 4.416. I am 4.616. TRTP 6, TWR 12. So TRTP times 2 gives you your TWR. These can go as low as 4 and 8, I believe. But you got to make sure you can post our SCLs. You got 2 of them, RD and WR, right here and right here. So they can go as low as 2, if you can boot it 2. You got 2, 3, 4. They're normally on auto. They're going to be at around 5. I've set some stuff I leave on auto because I'm really not finished doing this yet. Your Proco DT, I've got them set on auto. I'll probably adjust those also. Here we go. Your drive strength, so I've got them set 2420, 2424 as per the Ryzen DRAM calculator. But I'll show you that. So this is where you set all your timings in here. On this board, and do I have it in there? No, I don't. I'm gonna, a lot of boards you can save your timings, or you can save your profile, your overclocking profile, if that's the case. RAM, because I'm tuning it, I do save the timings. So on this board, I have to save them to a USB. And I do that in the advanced section. Where I go to my overclocking profiles. I haven't saved this one, so I will save it as soon as I put this in here. There we go. So overclocking profiles, click on this. I want to save to USB, and it gives me my options. So I have 2 USB portable drives in here, and I know that's this one I'm saving to. And then you just call your file. So this is a 3600. Whoop. And we'll go, I don't know, mem3, I guess. I think I have a couple saved in there right now. Oh, that one already exists. No, I don't want to override it. And 4. And it saved the profile. All right, so let's, we can press F10 here to save our configuration and reboot, and we're going to reboot into Windows. So this is a Windows 11 Pro. And I had to change some settings in Windows 11 Pro in order to run some of my testing software. And one of them is Typhoon Burner. So these are the programs that you want. You want Ryzen DRAM Calculator, Typhoon Burner. This is a test memory, or you can use MaxMem for your speed to check your speed. And for stability, you can use MemTest. I just use multiple iterations, so I'll open 5 or 6 of them, and I'll run 2 gigabytes on each one. And you shouldn't get any errors in your memory. If you get errors, then you got to make some changes. Either increase the voltage or change some settings that you've set. But we'll go to our, another program that with AMD is Zen Timings, right here. This is just going to show you your existing timings. And there they are. So this is everything that we did see, or most of everything that we did see in BIOS here. So you want all these to be 1-to-1. They are 1-to-1. It's 3200, but it's double data rate, so it's half of that is 1600. So you want all these, all 3 of them, to be 1600. That's the F clock, the M clock, and the U clock. And like I said, I'm not completely finished tuning memory, but you get significant improvements in memory when you tune it. This is the program that I just use to test the speed of the memory when it reads it correctly. Sometimes it doesn't, so I have to close it and open it multiple times. Like now. And that's where it doesn't read it correctly. And it occasionally does that. I haven't tested this overclock. I've tested a little bit, but not very much. I'll just see if it does this time. I can still run it. I just don't get my latency. Another one you can use is Ada64. See, this time it populates everything. So there's our timing, 16, 18, 36. We're running 1T command rate. And we'll just start our bench here. And when you're tuning memory, you want to, when you find one that's good, it boots in the Windows, you're okay, you test it, it's good, you have no errors, then you need to go back in. The first thing you want to do is save your profile. If you have to save it to USB, that's fine. Sometimes it'll just save the profiles. Just in case, so when you change another setting and it doesn't boot, then you can just load a previous profile that was working. So typical Ryzen, the latency is, it's not bad, but it's not great at 71.5. Normally I run this program a couple of times. And I log the second one, which is what I'm doing now. So I have the log on the desktop, so it's going to save the log because I have it checked. And I'll show you where I compare that to. So if sometimes you can set some timings and they don't quite increase your speed, and you go backwards. So I'll just close this, and I have my shortcut on my desktop. It's just an Excel file that it saves. So this is how many times I've rebooted, and it takes a while to tune memory. I need to get a little closer to the screen here. So we're pretty much, this is the best one I had up here but this was at, I think, 3333. or I did have it overclocked a little bit at one time. I'm probably going to go back there, but we're, you know, within the margin of error pretty much across the board. I didn't make any changes, so we should have been close to being the same as the one above it, and we are pretty much. So this is trying to remember the, oh yeah, Open Office that I use to open these Excel files. I don't use Microsoft Office, too expensive. Just use Open Office. I have to say, you know, give Microsoft a few kudos on the Windows OS. It's not at all a bad operating system. You know, Microsoft gets crapped on a lot, but they've done a good job with Windows over the course of time. Windows 11 is just like any other new version of Windows. It takes time. Windows XP was a piece of garbage when it first came out, and then it just continually got better until it got really good. And that's the way it is with every new OS, every new Microsoft OS. It does take time before they get all the bugs out of it. There's a lot of updates, and every update usually helps. So kudos to Microsoft. They do a pretty decent job. I'm just going to move you back a bit here. There's my tech loving down in the corner. This is a program I use too, because when I first build a system, I'll just use any SSD I have. So I use a program called Disk Genius, which is a free download and free to use. I mean, although you can buy it and you get a little more functionality, but I'll migrate to, whenever I put the NVMe in, I'll migrate the OS. It's a great program. I really like it. It's fast, it's quick. Quite good. Okay, I'm going to show you Typhoon Burner. So this is where I had to go into the registry and make a modification in the registry to get this to work. And so we open it. First we go and we read. So this gives us everything. I'm going to make this a little bigger here. I'll do the report. This gives us everything on our memory. So G.Skill Ripjaws V Black. It's the DRAM manufacturer is Hynix. So it's Hynix CJR right here. Whoops. There's kind of the CJR, or most of it. There's Hynix right here. It's an A1 PCB right here. It's single rank. And that's the information we need off of that. From there, so once we have all that, we go to the export, and we want to export a complete HTML report. And you can do this now. I usually just save it to the desktop. I have one on the desktop right now. I'm just going to show you that. That's my whole HTML report. So I go to DRAM calculator. This is DRAM calculator here. So if I want to import my XMP, it's on the desktop right over here in the corner where my mouse is on the left, which is the G.Skill. I open that, it sets everything up, the Hynix CJR and everything. I can compare my timings, so these are my existing timings, and I don't think the fast one exists. No, it doesn't. So I can calculate safe. And this is what it sets as safe settings. So I haven't tried these, but I probably will. As you can see, some of my timings are a little tighter than their, especially the TWR. I'm at 12, it's at 24. And it says I can, I'm at 560, I can go to 419, maybe. Some of these will work, and some of them won't. That's just the way it is. So I'm set at 1.45, it's recommending 1.36. So I will try and lower the voltage afterwards. Here's my 24, 20, 24, 24. And I can adjust these timings, which is the Proc ODT, the RTT NOM, WR, and PARC. So I'm probably going to use, I can use any one of these three and see if that'll work. You can also, with this, you can run a mem bench on it. Takes a minute or two to run that. So those are all the tools you need if you want to overclock RAM. And like I said, it's a lot of rebooting constantly. And then you need to run your mem test, and I'll show you the mem test. And usually I run mem test. I leave it for quite a while. I'll just do short runs. If I don't get any errors at 100% or something, okay, then I'll do some more timings. But I'll let it run overnight. And if I come back and there's no errors, I'm good. If there's errors, well, it's another story. Then I have to either increase the voltage or change some settings. And there, the furnace just went on, so that was the big noise. Pretty bad that it's almost May and the furnace is going on. We'll let that finish. There's nothing really to look at there, and I'll show you this board here. So this is a 58, I think it's 5820K quad channel memory. It's a pretty cool board. Also has a postcode reader, something every board should have, and that's where you can see those kind of 288s there on the right. I don't know, I'd rather have a postcode reader than having stupid RGB. Thank you very much. I don't know why every board should have this, except maybe the cheapest of boards, but every board should have that. Just like they should all have start buttons. This one actually has a start button. Those two buttons right there. One is the power, and one is actually a reset right on the board, which is nice. And over here, way at the back, we have a mem OK button. That's hard to see. Kind of my hard drive's kind of in the way. Move him out of the way. Oh, where are you? Yeah, way down there. That little button there is the mem OK button. So if you don't post, you can click that button or push that button and you can get a post. So it's a pretty cool board. I just have a, what is that? An R9 390, I think, on there. And like I said, this is the way I start to build. I'm just playing with this one. It's kind of fun to play with. And I have something, I'm going to do another video soon, and it's you can't even see it. It's in the bag, but it's a dual Xeon board that I have. The processors are on there and everything, and I just want to see, and I'll do a video on it. Can we run, we'll go with Windows 10. Windows 10 or Windows 11, we're going to see if we can run it on those. It's pretty cool though. And it's ECC RAM. I think there's 24 gig in here, but I have some 4 gig sticks. And I think I have enough to have, there's 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 12 RAM slots in this. Pretty cool. So like I say, this is the one I'm Once I finish tuning it, then it's going to go in the case. And the case is, let me get this out of the way, is right there. And it's a pretty nice case. I like the case. It's an Asus Tough case. Or it's a Tough Gaming or something like that. I'll just show you the, whoops, show you the front on this. Yeah, it's a pretty nice case. Tempered glass side panel and whatnot. So, yeah, pretty neat. Doesn't have USB-C, but who cares? I'll put you back up here. And this has finished. So let's just look at our result here. Not a very good result, but I hear this saved result. Oh, this was at 3333, right? That's our saved result from earlier. So we're probably going to go back here and see what we can get out of that. So let's just try that, and we'll see if we post. We'll go back into the BIOS. Actually, we can try something a little different here. Let's just go back in the Ryzen DRAM calculator. Let's see if I got it on my start menu. No, I don't. So we'll go back in here to Ryzen DRAM calculator. Let that load. We've already loaded all of that, but let's move this up to 3333. We'll just see what the, yeah, 54, 56, 44, 67. We should be fine. As to what it's recommending, yeah, it's pretty much the same as what we had earlier. So let's just restart again, go into the BIOS. We'll just wait for the beep before we start mashing the delete key. Well, I'm not going to wait for the beep. I'm mashing it now. Usually when I see that little dot on the screen, I know it's going to post. All right. So let's go to our overclocking. I'm not going to touch the base clock, but our DRAM frequency. We're going to go to 3333. We're not going to change anything else. And we'll see if it posts. The timing should scale with voltage, with the voltage we have in here. Yeah, it's going to post. So 3200 megahertz memory that we've now increased to 3333. XMP isn't overclocked anyway, because most of this RAM is 2666 or 2133, and then it's overclocked, and those are the XMP settings, the JDEC XMP settings, where I guess they call them that. I think JDEC is the stock settings. So it's RAM is overclocked anyway, but it's overclocked to a point. Your XMP settings are pretty loose because it really has to work on every single board. Oh, it was doing this before too at 3333, where that's why I lowered it to 32. It would post, but I wasn't getting it into Windows. Or at least I didn't wait long enough to get into Windows. So we'll wait a few more seconds and then I'll just reboot and try something higher instead of lower. I'll try higher. It might finally get into Windows. It might. I'll show you something else too that you should do. But perhaps at the settings I'm at, it will post, but it won't get into Windows. Normally, I've never seen this where it actually doesn't get into, well, but you usually get a blue screen or something. Yeah, it's not going to get into Windows. But in this case, it just sits there and does this. Which means I'm not off by very much. Or there's one setting. Not sure. That's why I'll try higher. See if it'll actually do anything. Yeah. Okay, I'm not waiting. So I just shut the power down. Turn it back on. Shorten my 2 pins. Go to the overclocking. So maybe it doesn't like 3333. Let's try 3400. Maybe, maybe not. It's going to post, but we'll see if we can get into Windows. And that's at the same XMP timings. Looks like it's going to do the same thing. If I go back to 3200, I'll get into Windows. So I have a choice here. Really don't want to go above what I have now for voltage. But I could. I could try 1.5. I don't know if I want to 24/7 that, but that's, I mean, yeah, 1.45 is fine to 24/7. 1.5 is probably okay too. Certainly wouldn't go above that. Doesn't look like it's going to post though. And that could be a number of voltages that we have going right now. We have your SOC, VDD-P, VDD-G. So there's lots of voltages there that, I just don't think it's going to post here. It has posted. It's going to get into Windows. So we'll try it again. Power back on. There's definitely a setting it doesn't like. I just don't know which setting that is. Probably the 12. So I'm going to give it a little more voltage. And we'll see what happens. Yeah, it turned red. I saw that, which is fine. Unless it blows up. But I don't think it's going to. Yeah, I'm not sure what it doesn't like, but there's a setting that it definitely doesn't like. I can loosen out the timings. So we'll go back to 145. Okay. So you can see it booted at all of those increased settings, but it just doesn't like something. But I'm not sure what. So another thing we can try is go from CL16 to CL18. Without changing it, and we'll just even out all the timings and the primaries and see if that changes anything. Oops. So we're going to run 18s. TCWL, you can set it to below TCL, or you can set it even with TCL. And we'll set it even for now. And we'll see what we get out of this. So we continue to post. That's normal for it to prepare automatic repair because we tried to get in Windows like 5 times and we haven't. And we'll just let it finish its shit. But it may just sit here and do the same thing that it did before. And it looks like it is going to do that. Strange. I've never experienced this before, not with memory. It either posts or doesn't. In this case, yeah, it just doesn't want to post. So we'll go back to where we were before. And I know I can get this memory. I just have to change my timings. That's the only thing holding me back right now is my timing. So raising it to 18 didn't change in the primaries. I could try 2T. But for now, I'm just going to reset it back so we can go back into Windows. So it's a trial and error thing. And it does take time. Whoops. So I'll put this back at 16. TCWL back at 16. We'll go back to 3200. Yeah, we'll change our voltage back to 1.45. I remember all this, otherwise I would have went into my profile and just loaded the profile. Now we might get the Windows file checker again come up. We'll see what we get. Although we should get into Windows. And I'll show you something else when you're overclocking RAM. They should do on a regular basis. You could set it up as a startup where it does it every time. So we're just going to click in the Start CMD, which is our command prompt. We're going to right click on it, run as administrator. It's going to open this window here, and we're going to type SFC, which is System File Checker, / or / scan now. Whoops, what did I do? Oh, SFT, jeez, God, SFC. Can't spell. Now what did I do? Oh, my bad. There we go. Had the / in the wrong location. So it will repair any files that have become corrupted. A lot of times when you're overclocking memory, you can get corrupt files. So it's always a good idea to run this every once in a while. And you can run it from within Windows. And then you just do what I did, go to search, type in CMD, right click, run as administrator. And it just puts you in this DOS box. It really doesn't take that long to run. Sometimes it'll take a little longer, especially if your drives are full. But you can also set it to run at startup when the system is booting. So we're 77%. You can probably see that better than I can. Actually, I should look at my own screen. I could see it better. Or my, yeah, this is all done on my iPad, by the way. I buy all this stuff. Everything I have, I buy. I don't get anything from anybody. I'd like to. So it finished this. So system scan, it's completed. Didn't find any integrity violations. So we can just exit out of here, EXIT, and that exits out of there. So this is the other program you want to run. And so I'm just going to open 5 iterations of it. Press OK. 2048 is what I enter. Enter. So I'm testing 10 gig of RAM. I could probably go up to 12 or 14 of my 16 gig, but this is all I'm doing for now. So I'll let that run. And it's going to go through the coverage. And I've already done this, so it was fine. So I'll just close it out here. It was fine at, but as you're changing timings, tuning your memory, we'll call it tuning. We won't call it overclocking. You can call it overclocking if you like. I never even started that one. Doesn't matter. I had it all wrong here anyway. Overclocking, tuning. I'm going to call it tuning because that's what it is. But you do need to do these the memory check when you're doing that. So one other program here, hardware info. Just some of the programs I use when I'm building my systems. just to test everything. See what it's boosting to, see what my temperatures are. Okay, and I am now sometimes I'll run 8064 right here, and sometimes I'll just run Cinebench R23. I'll just run a multi-core here. Bring that back up. So this is what it's doing behind me. So here I can see what it's boosting to, which in this case is almost 4 gigahertz, a little over 4 gigahertz voltage. That's pretty high. I don't like that voltage, so I'm going to change that. I'm probably going to run a fixed 1.35 volts. I could change this by probably going to mode 4, so I get more V droop than what I'm getting now. But my temperatures are pretty good. But I would, Cinebench is 100% load, so I'm 100% load on the CPU. There's my memory clock and my timings. And how many watts I'm putting out, package power. So we had, 125 is our limit in the BIOS. And this is what it's using. There's our Infinity Fabric, which is half of our memory, our U-clock. We're not even close to our limits on the PPT, TCD, and EDC. Tells me for thermal throttling or anything. My CPU fan speed. And the CPU, so 9254, which is what around we were getting before. So that's just some of the programs I use to test the system. And then of course there's 8064. You're never going to put 100% load on your CPU if you're gaming. You're maybe using 1 or 2 cores, so 2 or 3, maybe more. Some games use more, some games use less. So anyway, that's just kind of an overview of memory overclocking and how you do it. And the programs that you need, they're all free. You can download them all. They're all free. And you can start to tune. Stop saying overclock. I got to stop doing that. You can start to tune your RAM and get better performance, better gaming performance. What you want to do is you want to get that latency as low as you can. Intel is really good at low latency. Intel has a better memory controller than Ryzen does. But if you can lower your latency and get your latency down as much as you can, you don't want to obviously lose your memory throughput, but latency is pretty important for gaming more than anything else. But fast RAM and tuned RAM, yeah, it's way better. Like I say, XMP is built for the mass. It has to work on, you get a memory kit. This is the XMP profile, and it has to work on every motherboard, every configuration. So the timings are pretty loose, so that does work. So you need to tune your RAM to your system, to your motherboard, and the way you have your voltage is set up and everything is set up on your motherboard, the motherboard that you're using. And you can tune your RAM and get better performance out of your system. So that's the whole idea behind it, is tune it for your own system. And yeah, you can still leave it XMP enabled, and then you can tighten your timings if they'll tighten. Obviously we tried to increase our megahertz, sorry. And yeah, we posted, but it wouldn't go into Windows. So that's a strange one. But there's a timing, there's something off there. So we could certainly get faster if I wanted to. But you want stability too. So when you're testing your memory, it has to be 100% stable. This is another program I use to test memory right here. I think it's Testman 5, but it runs in Windows. And you can download that. That's free. Everything I've shown you is free. Everything, even the Office program, the Open Office, that is also free. And it's great. My resume, I've done my resume with it's a Microsoft Office clone. You can even save as doc files. So you can save as docs, you can save as Excels. It's a great program. I love it. I've done my resume on it. Of course, I'm getting old now, so I don't need to worry about that anymore. But yeah, that's all I have for you today until we put this Xeon, this dual Xeon, and see if we can install a Windows 10 or 11 on it. And I bet you we can. So that's going to go in the bench, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that. That's going to be in the next video. So thanks for watching. I don't have Patreon or anything like that. But if you want to send me stuff, you can to test. I wish like MSI and Asus and Gigabyte, and I wish they'd send me something to test. Instead, I have to buy everything. And believe me, I have a lot of graphics cards, and they're really expensive. So I'll gladly test your stuff. So I don't receive any funding from anybody. So whatever I say about certain things or motherboards or whatever the case may be, it's the honest to goodness truth of the issues that I may have run into. Yeah. Gigabyte boards, man, somebody's got to redo their BIOSes. Who's coding this stuff? I have a Gigabyte board, and it's just a Gigabyte Aorus Elite. What is it, a B550? I can't remember anymore. No, it's not. It's an Intel board, so it's not a B550. That's going to be an AMD board. What is it? Oh, a Z590. Yeah, Z590 Aorus Elite Wi-Fi. My God, I have never worked with a board that totally ignores what I enter in the BIOS. Doesn't do anything that I enter in the BIOS. Change the voltage, get in the Windows, run a stress test. It's still running its stock voltages. I'm going, what am I missing? And I spent hours. I finally gave up and just said, oh, you know what? I'll just run the damn thing stock. And I just tuned the memory, because it is, I don't know what's going on with Gigabytes. And I updated the BIOS. I did all kinds of things. I tried everything. So, and I've been doing this for a long time, so I think I know what I'm doing. But who knows? Maybe I don't. But there's something in the BIOS that I am missing that's just putting everything. And believe me, it hasn't changed the settings. I go back into the BIOS, the settings are exactly as I set them. It's just when I go into Windows, it's like I haven't done anything. So it's the oddest thing I've ever seen. It's like this board where we can overclock the RAM and it posts, but it won't go into Windows. So maybe, and Windows isn't corrupt, I know that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day, have a good summer, because it's coming eventually. Bye-bye.